Hey, what's going on, guys? This is JD Moonin coming at you guys with another video. I just got the inclination to get on, and guys, anybody who's been watching my content for a long time, I get on my soapbox, okay, and I like to rant. That's what I do. I've always done that. I love ranting. God rest my grandmother's soul, man. I would walk out of my room sometimes, and I would be like, about something. I mean, God only knows what. Typically politics. Back when I was real heavy into that. But so today, okay, the rant is going to be about happy wife, happy life. That is the most conditioning statement I've ever heard in my life. Okay? It's not happy wife, happy life. I've been there, done that. Tried it, okay? And she cheated on me. No. Way I see it is equality equals happy life, okay? If my needs aren't thought about just like your needs, if I'm willing to compromise and you are not, then we are not going to be in a relationship, okay? So that's where you're at. Okay, compromise, I don't know why people don't understand this. Compromise is not you bending over and giving them whatever they want. That's not a compromise. Compromise is meeting somebody in the middle. Okay, well, I don't like that you do this thing, but okay, well, that's fine. I'll work on that, but it's not only, there should never be one person working on something and that's it, okay? If you're doing something that hurts your partner or that they don't like or whatever, that they want you to change, then they also need to work on something together with you, okay? People, you need to change together, okay? As soon as it gets lopsided, it never goes back, okay? I found this out. Unless there are certain circumstances where that's not the case. If somebody's sick, terminal illness, whatever. Somebody loses their job, that's a different ballpark. What I mean is, if everything's hunky-dory and then one day your partner just decides that they're not happy because of dut and dut and dut and dut and dut, well, that person probably is just not a happy person. They have found no happiness in themselves, and now it's your fault. Okay? Live that too. That person, you can never make happy. You need to go. Okay? I'm telling you right now, you need to bounce. You don't want to be with that person. That person is going to walk all over you, and that's after they get pretty much everything out of you. Okay? These people are called spoiled. That's typically what they are. They've had no discipline, okay? Now then you have people like me where I was relatively violent when I was in school. I hated the world. I was a very angry kid. I was getting beat. Then you have us that we've got too much discipline, but now, I don't know. I guess that's up for debate because like if I ever saw a child getting abused, I would probably go knock the person out right there. And it's just the point that I'm trying to say is that people who are unhappy, just unhappy, you shouldn't get in a relationship because what you're going to do is then you're going to make the other person unhappy, okay? And you yourself, if you're somebody who's looking for a partner and you get with somebody, I don't give a shit if they're the hottest dime piece you've ever seen in your life. If that person is not a happy person and you get with them, they are going to turn their unhappiness onto you, okay? And you're going to become the thing that's making them unhappy because they don't want to look in the mirror and say, it's me that's making me unhappy. Okay? That's what they don't want to do. The whole point of a spiritual journey for people who are spiritual, okay, is self-love. That's what self-love is. Self-love is learning this about yourself, learning about why you're unhappy. Well, why are you unhappy? And a lot of times when you go inside, you'll find out you don't even know why you're unhappy. You had these preconceived ideas of where you should be at this time. And because you're not, you're unhappy. Okay? Because you're not in the two-story house with the white picket fence and you're 35 or whatever. There's some people who never get a house. Who cares? Okay? That doesn't matter. I don't care what my parents did, okay? I respect my parents for what they've done. I respect my parents for who they are. My parents are good people. It's because of them I learned about charity and doing things. It's because of what I helped them do for the church that I'm getting the aid that I'm going to get. Okay? And so I understand these things. But controlling partners, they have a problem in self. And unless they get that addressed, you're going to be controlled. My buddy's a Gemini. Okay, and Geminis, if you know anything about Geminis, they're what's called a mutable sign. A mutable sign typically run. They don't deal with stuff. They don't want to deal with anything. They typically don't. It's just as soon as things become a big problem, they're out. They would rather just run away from an issue than to deal with it. I'm a Libra, so I take everything head on. I will. Dude, I got a forehead that's got you got a steel plate in that motherfucker. Okay, because I will beat my head against the wall until I get through it. And that's just how it is. But now I'm also about justice. And I'm about equality and balance and harmony. That is a Libra. That's what we bring to the table. And as soon as that gets in any way threatened, you're out. Okay? After what I've been through in my life, I will tell a woman her shit stinks, and I will throw her shit out. No, I'm not even joking. Because as soon as it becomes my peace or you're out. Okay? Because I will not have anybody ruin my peace again. I've been with nothing but unhappy women or spoiled women. I don't know what it is, but I get all these girls with money are attracted to me, and I don't know why. Okay? I don't know if it's the bad boy vibe or something. I don't even know why I put out that vibe anymore. Because I'm like the furthest thing from it. I just dress like one, I guess. I got my own style. I don't even dress like anybody. I just got my own thing. But what I don't get, okay, is why people want to control somebody else. If your partner wants to do something for business, you should support it. I don't care what it is, okay? Now, if it's OnlyFans, I can see not supporting that, okay? Or if they want to get in the porn industry or something. I can see not wanting, I would be out too, okay? I would have a problem with that. But if somebody wants to go and they want to be a baker, okay? They want to design clothing or they just have this dream that they've always wanted to do. Support it. It doesn't mean you got to go do it. That means you support it. Okay? And hell, it might be something you like to do. You might want to do it with them. You never know. Men can be into baking. Okay? Hell, where the hell do you think donuts came from? Come on. But the thing is it's like there is no reason why you're looking at me and you want to do a podcast with me, right? You need to get a microphone. You don't want to ask your wife if you can get a microphone because you're unemployed and you're afraid she's going to. That is a problem, dude. Okay? If you're afraid to have a conversation with your spouse at any point because of the way they're going to react, that's not healthy. Okay? That's toxic. That needs to be addressed. It will be a problem that will continue to get worse. Or you're going to get 30 years into this marriage and then one day you're going to wake up and go, I'm done. Because you just got so tired of it. And then now what? Now you're going to be getting divorced after you've been with somebody for 30 years. And then what are you going to do? Now any prospect you could have had on somebody to be with, that's out the fucking window. At 35, that's hard. Okay? Trust me. I'm 35. And I can tell you right now, there's like one woman I'm interested in. One. Because everyone else is a problem. I'm not going to be used. I'm not a doormat, okay? I'm not a people pleaser anymore. So I'm not going to do everything I can to make you happy. No, if you're unhappy, you need to go find out why. That's not my problem. That's your problem. And I am not going to sit there and try and figure it out for you. It's not going to happen. I'll support you in going and getting some help. I'll even pay for it. Okay? But that comes from within here. And if you start trying to control me, we're done. I'm not going to be controlled either. If you have a problem with something, we can have a discussion, absolutely. And I'll be the first person to compromise. That's how I am. That's what a good partnership is. If your spouse comes to you and they need some time off because their mental's screwed up. They're depressed and they need to figure out why. There should be no question. There shouldn't be a fight, an argument. Absolutely. What do we need to do? You know, I mean, if your partner is depressed, then yeah, by any means, how can we get this fixed? You know, and I know men that are, you know, there's also this preconceived notion that, you know, being the man, that you have to be the breadwinner. You do not. Okay. I've got an old friend of mine. His wife makes a ton of money and he's a stay-at-home father. And there is nothing wrong with that. Nothing. He's a good man and she's a good woman. And they vibe like that. It's all about finding your match. Okay? That's what it's all about. And you don't have to be perfect for each other because nobody is. You know what I'm saying? It's all about how willing is the other person to be in a relationship. How willing are you to have it not always your way and to understand that you have a partner who they have care, they have feelings and they have needs too. You know, that's like my ex, you know, what she always did. I remember she called me an incel at one point. You know, I was like, oh, okay, you know, like whatever. That's like the day she called me a faggot, you know, and it's like we had just had sex or something. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. Pretty sure you're like my chick. I mean, anyways, but it's like dumb stuff like that. You know, I remember whenever I said, you know, that there was something I wanted to do, then it was, you know, oh, you always just come up with these ideas and blah, blah, and then they start putting you down. You know, if you have a partner that does that, that's a narcissistic tendency. Okay. And it's typically from people who they have no imagination. They could never own a business. Hell, they can't even keep a job most of the time, from my experience. You know, and it's, I don't get it. My ex would control me, you know, and I told her, I said, look, I said, if you want to try and control me sexually, I said, I'm the last person you want to do that with. My ex-wife made me extremely strong in that department. Okay. I don't give a shit about sex. Okay. I will personally, I'll be celibate if it means that I can keep my peace. Okay. I don't care. Now, if I'm in a relationship, I do. Of course I do. Because I also equate that with showing love, okay? I feel like sexual intercourse is something that two people do when they love each other. You know, I mean, I understand the pleasure behind it, and I've been there, I've done it. I went out, I've had my one-night stands and all that shit. I've been there, done it. And I can tell you right now, I don't regret it, but I could have went without doing it, okay? It didn't do anything for me. And 90% of the time, the sex is bad anyways. So the reality of it is that, yeah, I understand, you know, I've seen guys that'll stay in relationships because they want to have sex. That's a problem, man. You know, that's called an illness. You know, that's called addiction. And sexual addiction is a thing. But my ex called me an incel, and that cracked me up because as a matter of fact, the reason why I don't have problems with women and why I can go to the bar and I've been able to literally, I don't understand why men have trouble picking up women at a bar. You should never, it's not difficult. It's not. The difference is between me and a lot of other men is that when they walk in and they go to a bar, their intention there is to get laid. Okay. So what do? They walk in and they see pussy. That's it. They don't see human being. I see a human being that I might want to talk to. Okay? I don't see a piece of ass that night. I never have. And that's why they just call me a ladies' man. I have women around. I had more female friends than I did guys. Most of the time I couldn't get along with guys. Too much masculine, I guess. I don't know. You know, and it was just, that's why it made me laugh so hard for my ex to call me an incel. Or for like my buddy's wife asked if we were gay. And I was like, does she know me? Like, what? It's just, I don't understand it. And what that comes from is it's jealousy. You know, and these people are just, they're so insecure in self. And I'm sorry that you have that problem, but that's not my problem. That's your problem, and you should go get some help. There's plenty of resources for you out there to find the things that you like, to figure out why you have an addiction. I'm not one of those people, like, I don't agree with prohibition at all. I don't believe in the drug war. I don't believe in, all this stuff. I can get any drug I want. I used to be a criminal, okay? So I can still go out and get any drug I want. I don't. I do one drug, and it's for my ADHD. It's literally my medication. I don't even drink alcohol anymore. I quit smoking cigarettes. I had 2 beers on Friday, and that was the first time I've had a beer in like a year. So I just, when you get older, things change. Your what you want out of life. I don't even like being. I can't stand being unable to function. Right? Like I don't get high anymore. And I haven't smoked weed, and I can't even tell you how long. And getting drunk to the point where you can't drive a car, that is ridiculous. I haven't been like that, and I used to be a heavy drinker. I was born with a beer in my hand. Okay, I'm a country boy, dude. I started drinking when I was like 13, 15, something like that. My first taste of beer, I was 8. And so it's like, I don't understand why people are the way they are, But the biggest issue I've seen today, and this is where I kind of want to end on this. The biggest issue that I see today is people think that people are throwaway. You can't buy me at a store. Okay? You can't buy my contribution to society or my creativity. You can't get any of that. You can't find another model like me. You're not gonna. There is not a single person in this world that is not unique. There's some NPCs out there, don't get me wrong. They definitely seem like they're somebody else, but they're unique in their own way, in their own NPC kind of weird way. But you're never going to have a happy relationship, one, if you get in a relationship and you're unhappy. Because you need to become happy first before you get in a relationship. Another person is not your happiness. If you need another person, that's a problem. Okay? That's a problem. My mom is one of the strongest people I've ever met in my life. And what I've seen that woman do, and my stepfather, that's strength. My parents, they adopted and raised many kids. And me and my stepdad, we didn't have the best relationship. I ran away at 15 because I was being beat. And I'll be the first person to tell you that. But I respect that, man. I do. He's more of a father to me than my own father. My own father can't even take accountability for things. Okay? So, my stepfather, he pushed me one day, before I moved out of there. Whenever my grandmother died, I'd stay there for like 2 months, 3 months. And then I moved in my own place. And he came in, he pushed me, and he came right back in and he shook my hand. He said, "I'm sorry, I lost my cool." I was like, "Man, it's cool, man. We don't get along. We don't get along." And I've known that. And it will escalate if I live with them. That's why it will never happen. I've been a black sheep of my family forever. And I see people get controlled by their partners. It ain't going to happen to me. I don't know how anybody can put up with that or live like that. I've been accused of controlling people. Dude, I'm about to release some stuff that I wrote. Okay? I've got some letters that I wrote to my ex because I'm compiling all this stuff on narcissism because I want to contribute to that field of study. Because I've got everything from my last relationship is documented. Everything. Almost every. I've got videos of her throwing fits and all kinds of stuff. I haven't put them out on the web because I'm not the kind of person. I don't. My goal is not to. I'm not trying to get back at her in any way. She's going to get what she has coming anyways. People like that, they eventually have to change or they'll die. So, it's like Alan Watts said, a fool who persists in their folly will become wise. I know I did. I became wise. I became wise to what I allowed myself to go through. People put up with way too much. Way too much. And it's because they're codependent. Codependency in this world is not unconditional love. Okay? I mistaked that for that one time. I thought I was unconditionally loving somebody. No, I was codependent. And I was allowing them. Somehow she made me codependent because I wasn't codependent when we got together. But somehow I became codependent. And I guess that's the nature of narcissistic abuse. I don't know. Because I wasn't actually that way before. But I guess maybe it was trying to teach me Spirit was trying to show me my limits on unconditional love, right? Unconditional love, you can have that. And you're not adding condition if you cut somebody off from it. Because when you have unconditional love for somebody, there are people in this world that will take advantage of it. And they will use you until you're bled dry. That's what happened to me. Because when you're loyal to somebody and when you're really into when you are committed, you will do anything for that person, no matter what the cost. And you will get superhuman strength for that person. And there's some people out there, if you, for some reason, don't realize your own worth or don't realize what this person's doing or you're ignoring your intuition, you will stay in that and stay in that and stay in that. And trust me, that is not where you want to be. I did that. What you want to do is you want to see the signs for what they are. You want to know when you're being narcissistically abused. If somebody constantly, if they put you down in these little bitty ways, that's abuse. It's conditioning. They're conditioning your mind. I happen to be very strong in my head, so she played the long game with me, okay? Because I'm not an easy nut to crack, okay? But she was good. I was just better. She found that out. That woman sent me to jail on charges I never did. I never harassed her in any way. I told her she needed to come get her shit out of my house. And it got to the point where I was literally having to take her shit and put it in her driveway because she was not getting it out of my house. So that's because they want to come back, okay? Because it's tactics that they're using. That's what it is. They're breaking up with you to condition you. They're causing you to gain what's called CPTSD. My sister is right now finding out just what that is. That's called complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It is very real. I had it. I dealt with it on my own. And I remember when I snapped that trauma bond, okay, when I got rid of the trauma bond, it was like I took a stick and I broke it in half in my head. It's like I felt it. And then my mind split in two different personalities. It was so traumatic that to protect me, my bipolar immediately sent me into an episode and split my mind in two. And that was a defense mechanism. That's what bipolar is. It's a defense mechanism. People think that bipolar is an illness. It's not an illness. It's not. I'm going to tell you that right now. And in bipolar episodes, you can control it. Okay? You absolutely can. I have not been medicated since 2018 when I got diagnosed. I know whenever I'm going to have an episode, I will tell you that I need you to stop doing whatever you're doing because it's causing so much pressure for me. I'm going to have an episode. My ex didn't care, and she pushed even harder, and then I snapped. So that being said, it is what it is. I remember one time my ex spit in my face, okay, and then spit on my chest, and I turned around to walk away, and she spit on my back. Dude, I shut the door, and I told her, do not follow me inside, and I remember she came and she followed me inside. It was the first time I've ever put my hands on her. I didn't hit her, but I put her on the ground because she swung at me. Not going to do that. You don't want to fight me anyways, okay? But if it ever gets to that point, leave. If you ever get to a point of physicality in a relationship, you need to go. It's toxic, okay? I come from a long line of don't hit women. I've been that way for a long, long time. But now I will tell you this. And I will tell you this straightforward. If a woman wants to swing at me, she better be ready to get hit back. Okay? Because I don't play that game anymore. Not after my ex-wife. My ex-wife would hit me knowing I wouldn't hit her back. If you don't want to be hit like a man, don't hit like a man. Straight up. My sister, that girl's tough. I've watched her fight. Some women are tough like that, dude. My old homegirl, Sarah, I watched her knock a grown-ass man out on his porch. But, the point is, though, is when it gets to that, it should never get there. Ever. And it does. You should have been long gone long before that. Because it should never get there. Ever. That's my soapbox for the day. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next rant.